We're in Psalm 16, and we'll be brief. We left it off in verse 2 Friday. Verse 1, preserve me, O God, for in thee do I put my trust. O my soul, thou hast said unto the Lord, thou art my Lord, my goodness extendeth not to thee. I don't come to God with my goodness. It all comes from him, which makes making him my Lord all that much more reasonable. It's no sacrifice. There's no cost to truly making Jesus Lord. No, it's all upside. There is no downside. You lose what's only going to be lost in anyway. You lose what is only going to end up oppressing you, even at its best, and holding you hostage. But you gain everything, and you gain all the goodness of God that flows out of him. And so our goodness doesn't extend to God. His goodness extends to us. And that is the essence of the gospel. So verse 3, but to the saints that are in the earth, and to the excellent, in whom is all my delight. Now I love this. David says in verse 2, my goodness doesn't and can never extend to you, but it can extend to the people of God, the saints that are in the earth. It can extend to the people God has called me to extend his goodness to, and to the excellent, in whom is all my delight. David is professing a profound truth. First of all, and there's so many things I want to say here, I get ahead of myself. First of all, he's saying, I really love God's people. I really love the people that have set their delight in God, that have called themselves his, that have cast their trust in him. I love those people. And God has called me, David is saying, God's called me to extend goodness to them. And I love the juxtaposition or the contrast of verse 2 and verse 3. David says, I can't be good enough to reach to God. No, all the goodness flows one direction from God to me. But I can reciprocate outward. I can take the goodness I've received from God and all of his abundance, all of his infinite, lavish love and grace, and I can extend it outward towards those that God's put in my path to love and to be gracious towards. And his saints that are in all the earth, and to the excellent. The idea of excellent, what does this word mean? It means mighty, noble, majestic, splendid. God gave David a platform. There's a sense, and we don't know the background of this psalm, but there's a possibility that this psalm could have been written shortly after God made a covenant with David and told him of his covenant, that he was going to make David king and that he would extend his lineage, his line, to the Messiah. And that through the Messiah, the line of David, the kingship of David, would rule and reign and continue forever and ever and ever in a perfect eternal kingdom through Jesus. So David, as he's writing this, has this profound sense, I could have never earned this. My goodness could have never reached out to God in a way that moved him to do this for me. It's all one-way goodness, but God's giving me a place. God's giving me a platform of influence by which I'm going to be able to extend and reflect and manifest his goodness to lots of people in the earth, and to the excellent, to powerful and influential and majestic and elevated people, other influential people. I'm going to be able to manifest God's goodness to them. And I think David is seeing, when you extend God's goodness to influential people, that goodness finds its way to other people through that influence. And he says, in whom is all my delight. I delight in representing God and giving his goodness to other people. Now, my friend, this is just an awesome, awesome thought, okay? Because there is great joy in this kind of life. There's great joy in seeing yourself today as the pay it forward, blessed child of God, okay? Like, I am so cared for and so secure because God preserved me, verse 1. My trust is in him. My soul has declared itself to be the recipient of all of his great gifts and goodness, and I'm not giving him my goodness, he's giving me his. And because I'm the recipient of his goodness, I can have a lavish, generous, giving heart towards every single person I meet. You don't need to go at anybody or at life in general trying to get from anyone for any reason at any level. No. When your trust is in Jesus and He's your Lord, all the goodness flows towards you. And now you become a rebounder. You bounce that goodness through you out to others. You'll never use it up. You'll never exhaust the supply. You can never be too generous, too lavish with God's gifts. He will always make sure you have enough for your needs and margin to honor Him and bless others. He will always. When He's your Lord, you have wealthy backing, okay? And He will always make sure you have enough to honor Him, tithes and offerings, and bless others just in generosity and care. But I'm talking even psychologically and emotionally and spiritually. You can go at life today full. Just loving, and giving grace and giving forgiveness and extending forbearance. You can just absorb all the bad stuff that life wants to throw at you and the rough edges of people. You can absorb it all. Why? Because you are buoyant, you're durable, you're preserved by God, and Jesus is your Lord, and His goodness is always flowing towards you. And so you're like a wealthy person that isn't worried about running out of money. But I'm not talking about financial resources as much as I'm talking about emotional and spiritual resources. God is your supply. And I just got to park it there because that is an overwhelming thought. What a great way to start Monday. God is your good giver of all goodness, and you are called to pour it out on others. So go do that today, right now, this week. Love you. Thanks for joining me. Have a great Monday.